Hey everybody, welcome to another session. Today's session will be on how to become a DevRel, and today I'm joined by Kelly from Kubeshop. Kelly, thanks for coming. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly. I am head of developer relations for Kubeshop, which is an incubator and accelerator working on Kubernetes products. I am located in New York City. Yeah, thanks, Brad, for having me.
Thanks.
Excited
And
to
maybe,
talk about
ma-
DevRel.
yeah, so I must admit, I myself don't really know much about it. So how long has it been around for?
Actually, a long, long time. It truly first started back in like the early 80s in for Apple with Guy Kawasaki is supposed to be the like first developer evangelist, I guess is the best way he would describe
Yeah,
himself. Just talking about the product, being kind of the spokesperson, the hype man back then. But I think it really got popular. I don't know, maybe it depends on who you ask, I'm sure. There's been people who've been in it for 10 or 15 years, so probably around that, but definitely seen a huge ramp up of it in the past 5, I would say.
yeah. And is that generally bigger companies that would have that role?
Traditionally or now?
Probably now. Now I see it's coming smaller companies.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
I mean, lots and lots of companies are hiring for it. A lot of them don't know why they need it sometimes.
Mm.
But yeah, definitely. I see a lot of startups now who it's like one of their first 10 hires.
Yeah. And being a tech company, does that mean that that would replace the traditional marketing capability of the business as well?
Not necessarily, no.
Not
So
necessarily. Okay.
developer relations in a sense is building relationships with developers, right? So it's a little bit of marketing, a little bit of engineering, it's a little bit of everything put together. So it's not maybe traditional marketing and not traditional like true technical writing or engineering. It's something in the middle.
Yeah.
So you definitely need both sides in addition to a DevRel person.
Yeah. And we see in, the open source world at the moment, there's a lot of roles that are coming that are, a lot of people doing non-code contributions. How technical do you need to be for this role?
Um, so developer relations is a kind of a huge gamut of roles that could be created. So developer relations is kind of the umbrella, and like I said, there's a little bit that kind of go more to the marketing side. So there's like true developer marketing titles. Then it goes all the way over to I don't know. There's developer evangelist, a technical evangelist, like so many different roles that you can take. I would say specifically for developer relations, you have to know the inner workings of the products you're supporting. So you may not have to write code, right? So there's developer relations people who go to conferences and speak at a really high level that talks about this concept. But there's also ones that write out actual tutorials of this is how you use our database product and getting developers to actually use the code. So I'd say you definitely have to know development in how to speak to an engineer because that's important, right? To like being
Mm,
able to speak technical is important, but you don't necessarily have to be a true engineer in a sense.
mm.
So, and
That,
again, like the positions itself within a company um, either vary or vary on what they look for. So, for my role particularly, it's more about kind of building communities and it's more of like an advocacy role of like getting the word out about our projects rather than like specifically writing tutorials about the projects.
Yeah. And working with the developers, do you notice that developers are getting cooler than what they used to be? So they seem to be a bit more social and out there than maybe traditionally 10 years ago, or would you agree with that?
Yes. I think they always were in a sense, but they had to like
Yeah.
fit into this mold.
Yeah. I've met
Um,
some really strange developers in my time, but I've found that these days they're sort of normal people now, so it's changed a lot.
yes, I agree. I think they're kind of coming out of their shells, but
Mm,
I think there's just more people who are becoming developers too, right? It's like
mm,
I went to and worked for a coding boot camp, and it was specifically around people who were transitioning from a different career into coding. And like in that sense, a lot of like actors and theater people and things like that did really well at transitioning into becoming an engineer because they have a ton of social skills.
mm.
Um, so I think like the true CS nerd who is like coding by themselves and have been since they were 12 years old is changing, which means
Yeah,
the audiences are changing.
yeah, true. And what's your favorite product for Kubeshop?
Favorite product of Kubeshop? Um, hmm. I like Test Cube a lot,
Okay.
more just because it's kind of like for everyone who's listening, it's like a native Kubernetes framework for testing. So it makes testing Kubernetes applications easier. Um, but from my perspective, I like it because it really encompasses a whole bunch of different people. Where sure, it might be developers, but it's also like QA people who are getting into it, and it's a bigger audience of people that we wouldn't normally talk to in the first place. So
Yeah, cool. And when you were first, trying to get into this role, what sort of things did you were standing out on your CV that would help you get it? So, like, what sort of background do you have to get to, or whether that's education or like we talked about social, the social aspect of it as well. What would be like some maybe pointers for CVs or interviews? That's sort of two questions in one, but
yeah. So this role particularly is my second true developer evangelist role or developer
mhm.
relations role. Um, and so I can talk. Should I talk about getting into DevRel in general or this role now that?
Yeah, however you like. I think in general, really, because
Okay.
I think this role is becoming quite a hot topic at the moment, and there's a lot of folks out there that sort of wouldn't know where to start, and I've seen a lot of people sort of, going crazy. I will learn this, I'll learn that, and they context switch so much they don't focus on one thing.
Mhm. Mhm, mhm. Right, okay, so if we think about developer relations, it's about it's not sales, right? So it's not selling, it's not traditional sales, it doesn't matter that part. It's building authentic relationships at the end of the day with developers. So think of all of the ways that you can do that or a company can do that, right? It could be through and your end goal is to as a developer relations person is to both get people excited about your project or product, but also keep them happy in a sense too. So you keep them wanting to use your product. So if you think of it that way, right? The first way is how do you get someone to know about your product? You could do it through tutorials, so writing really kind of in depth, maybe technical blog posts is a really great way to kind of get into DevRel, where um, taking something that's complicated and writing it down for people to understand easily. That's easy. Another way is speaking at an event or creating a YouTube video or something like that. But just being able to speak about a concept or talk about this feature or do something about speaking about it, I think is a big deal.
Mm.
And that can range from, right, like from a YouTube video, but also just giving a technical talk. Maybe it's kind of like a lightning round talk for some friends or for like a dev group or something. But something like that, I think, is a great way because you'll be doing it a ton. Um, Kind of wherever you fall within developer relations, whether it's like
Mm.
hosting events just like this or like full conference events too. So those are
Yeah.
the first two things to really get into it. For me particularly, I knew I was good at kind of getting people together and building a community in a sense. So I started a Slack community for
Nice.
particularly for like aspiring software engineers. So people who are, like I said before, transitioning from whatever career it is and trying to learn how to code, but I don't have to actually teach them how to code, but like just be the emotional support there for
Mm.
them to learn. So I created not only like created the concept for it, right, but like supported this community. So figured out how to get more people into it and how to get them all talking to each other because that's another thing, right? You can have
Mm.
a 10,000 person Slack channel, but if nobody's talking, then what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a lot of that, right? It's a lot of little moving parts and things. And it was fun for me to learn how to do all that, but it was like how do I describe it? It was beneficial for the company that I was working for too, and in like the
Mm.
concept of it too.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. Like, what sort of value do you need to bring for the company? Because I see a lot of people trying to get into this, they're promoting themselves a little bit too much as well, and they probably don't realize that, you're getting paid by the company. So what, business outputs would they expect from you as well?
hmm hmm
Yeah.
The other thing too, right, of keeping developers happy in a sense is the developer relations person really should be, along with, I mean, a lot of other people with PMs and stuff, but should be the kind of person in between users and the development team for a true like tech company, right? So they should be able to get users to be willing to kind of give feedback, to give whatever it is, and be the ear to hear it, and then send that over to the dev team and kind of expedite that in a way, so making users happy.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
so
So
yeah.
when we're talking, and we're talking both internal and external developers as well, aren't we?
Mhm.
Because that's the part that I was confused a little bit as well. Is like, is it the internal or is it external? So it's really based on the users, the developers that are going to be, consuming your product. Or let's say at Kubeshop, for example, Test Cube, the developers are going to be starting to use and interact with that product.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Cool. Um, yeah, that's cool. I see a lot of the communities starting up as well. Like every day there's a new one, and it's quite cool to see that sort of the next generation coming through that they've grown up with a phone in their hand and social media.
Gosh.
It's going crazy.
It's so wild. It's so wild to think about too. But it's so cool. I think now I've been in tech for, oh gosh, true in a tech role for like 12 or 13 years now. And even before that, I wanted to learn how to code. And like, it was really difficult for me to find anyone who, like I said, like didn't have a true CS background.
Mm.
And now there's just tons of things online and tons of communities in particular online to like really, even we were talking about the cloud native community of like just so many people willing to help out and teach you things and get together
Mm.
where that for sure didn't happen 10 years ago.
Yeah. I'm starting to see a new trend that's quite cool as well. People self-learning. Have you seen that? So they'll actually like start learning online and they'll record their screen, and that's quite cool to see as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's taking right off as well. So there's a lot of people like yeah, doing that. It's quite cool to see, and that, all these new things coming out and all powered by the community. Giving people the confidence to just do amazing things.
Yeah. 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 I think that's the thing, right? Is like, especially with coding, is it's frustrating. It's at times, but so rewarding at times. But like, you just have to keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and to kind of overcome these hurdles. But you, I think you need confidence and someone to kind of help you do it. And when you see other people, it makes it, I don't know, more human in a way.
Mm, yeah, and and you mentioned to me once as well that maybe down the line at Kubeshop you'd like to have some more people in that department. What sort of roles would they be?
Yeah, so right now we've truly been around for a company, I would say I started it in November. So a little over 2 months ago, but the company has only been truly kind of building things since I believe June. So we're still really early on. And my role now um, focuses, like I said, like on just getting people to hear about Kubeshop and all of our projects and things like that. But um, eventually, we'll need to kind of like really foster our community of developers and our user groups and things like that. So I think somebody really focused on community would be great to kind of just do, well, once we get all these people together, what do you do with them, right? So I think that's
Mm,
the age-old question. But
yeah.
with developer relations, I think when you get into it and or you decide you want to get into it, you really figure out what you're good at. And whether it's like I said, like writing really easy to read tutorials, or you're really good at speaking about concepts or something, and that kind of becomes your sweet sauce, I guess, in a way, your secret
Mm,
sauce in a way. And a lot of times the the person comes and then creates a position rather than they fill a position, I guess. So definitely that. I think if somebody focused on community, we can also use. I think since our projects and all of our products are very technical, we need somebody who is more technical than I am in a way. I came into this role. One thing I didn't mention before is that I didn't have a Kubernetes background or experience before at all. And I think that uh, is awesome because awesome in a way of you can learn tech, right? You can learn these concepts. Kubernetes is changing. It was very different than it was 2 years ago. So sure, you can have experience in it, but it's always changing. So I think when you're also looking for developer relations jobs too, as advice, is that sure you need to know what you're selling or you're supporting in a way, but the community aspect is the biggest point, right? So like
mm,
you can always learn this tech and you don't have to be completely fluent in it to get started.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's been impressive to see the DOK community where someone like Bart, he's came from a different background, not in tech,
Mhm.
and he says he's not a technical person, but he's done so many meetups in community that he actually probably knows more than me, and he doesn't know it. So, like he he thinks he's not technical, but he's done so much talks. He knows so much about Kubernetes he doesn't even know. So it's quite cool to see that as well, and that's all been powered by the community as well.
Mhm. That's awesome. Yeah, so good, right? It's like I've always like learned as I don't know, speak about it or talk about it and kind of being
Yeah.
familiar with it, right? More than a tutorial. So he's probably, yeah,
Mm,
like you said, picked up so much from just listening to everybody talk about it.
yeah. And in terms of if someone was looking for an internship, is there much? in the DevRel space, do you really see any internships popping up anywhere, or not really?
I wouldn't say internships particularly. So a lot of companies, like I said, uh, they know the power of it, but they don't really know what it is. It's becoming, especially in the past year or two, I would say, is becoming really, really big. So most of the time you might be right now the first DevRel hire at a company. Um, and there's some companies that have had a DevRel department, I guess, for a long time. But most of the time, first hire, you have to figure out what your strategy is, things like that. So there's not really many roles as an intern anywhere. But that said, you can kind of create your own, I would say, in a way. At least that's what I would do. Is if you like a company or even an open source community too, right? It's like you can go to an open source community that kind of has a bunch of users or things and see where they could use DevRel. Could they use a community, a Slack channel or something? And like you can
Mm.
create that yourself. Or if you need, you could see that they need some blog posts about getting started. That's a good way. And then put it into your portfolio. And um, yeah, I would say a lot of technical writing looks great in your portfolio because, again, right, it's you're coming to this company and they know sort of what they're looking for. But if you have this portfolio of like, this is the video tutorial I've created and this is the blog post I've created, that looks really great to them. And it goes really, really far. So yeah, most of the time they look for a portfolio in some sort of the word.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So get a medium going, write some
Mhm,
blogs,
mhm,
join some communities, because everyone is always more than happy to help you there.
mhm.
So I guess the best way is just to get involved with it and see what happens.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's
Mm.
fun. There's a couple of Slack groups too. What is this one called?
There's so
Uh,
many. You should see
is
my
it?
Slack. It's like do 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 do.
I know. I feel like I get Slack messages and like the dings all hours of the day.
Yeah.
But there's one in particular called the DevRel Collective that is
Oh, nice.
wonderful. It's so great. It's all people who are working in DevRel now. So they're working for like
Yeah.
true companies, but um, I have used it a ton and I've met a bunch of people from there. But it's kind of great to see what content they're creating and how they have strategized for whatever company they're at. Again, like me, where we're all open source, or a bigger company like AWS or what have you. And it kind of all translates over. And the thing with DevRel in particular is we have to collaborate with a lot of people a lot of the time. So I've partnered up with other DevRel people to do some kind of collaboration, whether it's like an event or um, like a joint blog post or a workshop or something. So that happens a lot. So you end up, yeah, kind of networking with the same kind of people a lot to really make your
Yeah.
job easier.
I think this is the website. Let me just check it out. Is it this one on the screen now? DevRelCollective.fun.
Uh,
That would be
mm,
that's some good advice.
yeah,
That
that's
one. Yeah, okay.
yes, that's one with a little
Ah,
other.
okay, cool. Yeah, nice. So if anyone wants to check that out, you can see that on the link.
Yeah, they have.
And we actually have a question coming in, if you don't
Ooh,
mind while we
awesome.
answer it. So um, this member's from the DOK community as well.
Oh, cool.
He's really active, so yeah. So I just got a position. Oh, he got it. Wow,
Oh,
congrats.
wow.
This is really awesome. What things would Kelly like to tell me to focus on in terms of technical things? And he said also just after that, like, how can I make the max of that opportunity? So I guess what he's saying is, I'm an intern, let's say I only have 3 months. How can I really leverage that and make the most out of that?
Yeah, I would say have something in a sense that you can take with you. It's going to be a short position, right? So have again like a blog post that has your name on it that you could add to your portfolio. I think would be the best way to kind of get your name out there, and kind of like what Brad was saying, where you do need to kind of brand yourself, I guess, in a way, right? Where you need to have your name on something and become just known for your content, because you're building authentic relationships with people. So it shouldn't just all be coming from the brand itself. So um, yeah, I would spend, and again, like quality content over quantity. So even after this 2-month internship, if you only have one or two really great blog posts, those are better than having 20 of them. Um, so I would do that if there's some kind of video too, because that's really popular. If there's some kind of like video tutorial that you can create, usually from my perspective, you'll never have enough time to do everything. So if you focus on one concept, right? If you're writing a how to do this sort of thing, and that's your little seed, you can create so many types of media from that. You can create a blog post, you can create a video, you can create um, what else? I mean, truly a podcast about it too. But you can create so many things from this just idea that you don't have to kind of spin your wheels all the time. You can
Mm.
focus on just that for 2 or 3 weeks and make it great.
Yeah, I guess I give the same advice to my engineers as well. So I tell them, don't try and put everything internally, all your documentation and blogs internally, because no one, when you leave the company, no one's going to see that in the real world. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of like non-sensitive stuff that you can share externally. So yeah, I agree with that. Like try and put these blogs like in the public, make sure you ask them if you're allowed to do that. And then what we're saying, like if you have Medium and YouTube, one thing I've found that's good is you can do a blog on something. Like generally myself, I'll do a blog on something before I talk about it,
Mhm.
and then I can link them both to each other. So my blog will say, check out the YouTube video we did of talking about this, and then my YouTube video will say, check out the blog where we talked about this too. And you sort of like create this circle where people will sort of, you can sort of increase your branding in multiple places at once by circling them back around to each other. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think that works quite effectively as well.
One other thing that I've found too, I haven't really dove into it, but there's a blog platform called Hashnode that is specifically for, I mean, they're developer blogs, where Medium is known for their development content, but has a whole gamut of things. But Hashnode might be a good place to start your blog too, that you can kind of um, syndicate to Medium if you want. But
Yeah.
it's yeah, just start somewhere and kind of keep all your things together, I think would be good.
Yeah, I've never heard about that. I'll check it out.
It's great. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's been around for just a little while, but specifically technical developer content.
Yeah. So I've just got the URL down there as well. What sort of coffee are you drinking?
Espresso.
Nice. Because it's 8:30 a.m. in New York, right?
No, it's 7 o'clock now, but it was 6:30.
Oh, oh, sorry.
No, 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 no. It's so hard. We always talk about how like scheduling things across the globe, and you kind of just
Yeah,
kind of wake up when you wake up. What is
yeah.
time?
No, thanks so much for coming. Yeah. I think we have another question as well.
Yeah.
Um, it's from Kanawa said, dev community is also great for blogging as well and the tech niche. So,
Oh, cool.
well, yeah, that's a cool one to learn. I didn't know about that one either. And then there was another question as well about, it was just about if I can speak more about learning in public. So yeah, like I said before, like it's a trend that we're seeing a lot of people doing at the moment. Um, it's a great way to start your branding as well, and it's really about like sharing your failures and challenges that you have learning, and just really embracing that, and it really helps others as well. Because like for example, if I do a video on something, because I've been around for a while, and I know these things very well, I don't think about it as a learner perspective sometimes. So I think it is cool to see like these learning in public videos, like from that different perspective of, they're learning it from scratch, and there's just so much more challenges that we'll have. So yeah, there's a few people doing it, like Kunal here. I'll just share his name, but you can check out he's got a YouTube as well. He's doing it with AWS at the moment. So um, he's doing his AWS cloud practitioner. So that's the first one. And he's sharing each day that he does it, he shares his video of the things he's learned. He has like a Git repo as well. So that's really helping folks as well, but it's also increasing his brand as well. So it's a cool initiative to do. Yeah.
I would say, yeah, being able to write about the things that you're learning, just like you were saying, of kind of like keeping a journal of what it is, but a public journal, I think is awesome. And it really shows that you're able to learn too, right? Like you don't have to be a master at everything because nobody is, but
No.
you're humble enough to share that you don't know everything, and I think that's powerful.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, because like every day I fail and I don't know something, but people starting off, they don't realize that development's actually hard.
Yes.
and and it's not fun if you're not like struggling and failing. So it's a good like confidence booster for people to say, well, these people actually struggle as well. So it sort of pushes them further
Hmm.
to learn more as well.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, what else can we talk about DevRel? Um, what don't you like about it? Is there anything that you don't like about it?
That I don't like about it. I think the positions I've been in, I have either been by myself or kind of with a team of everybody. But like I said earlier, there is never enough time to do everything.
Mm,
And it's always feeling like I'm sure a lot of positions, but like juggling a ton of things all at once. And that feeling never goes away, which is sometimes it's really fun, right? To like just do all of these things, but yeah, it never settles down. Um,
yeah.
so it can be exhausting at times, but for me, I've learned over the years of doing it to be extremely organized. So you're not like your head spinning in a way. I
Mm,
think that's a hard part. And the other hard part, I think, is yeah, like having to put these different kind of hats on every day of like, there's some days where I will uh, teach a workshop, but then I also have to write a blog post, and then I have to, um, I don't know, work on some other kind of technical content, and then have this meeting where it's hard to switch from all of those
mm,
thinking cycles in a day.
yeah.
So yeah, you kind of have to learn yourself, I guess, and know when you write well, and or save your writing and for another day or something like that. But I think that's
Mm,
the most difficult part is just being able to put all these hats on and do them
mm,
well.
yeah. And in terms of writing, blogs in general or technical blogs, what advice would you have to get better at that? So would that be something like reading a lot of other blogs and sort of seeing how other people are formatting them, or what would you recommend to people like that want to improve their writing or quality of writing?
Hmm. I would say, I mean, maybe the easiest way is to write a tutorial about something and send it. So write it out, write it how you think it should be, um, I don't know, created in a way, and send it out to people who may not know it, and see if they can learn anything and get feedback from them. So if it's some kind of concept that you know well enough, there's never enough technical content on the internet, I guess. So even if you think it's a junior sort of thing, it might be helpful to people. So
Mm.
write whatever it is, write how you think it should be written, and then yeah, send it out to maybe some people, junior devs that don't know this concept, or people who are maybe even haven't coded at all or are very, very junior, and get their feedback and see like what made sense and what doesn't. And a lot of writing, especially technical content, kind of falls into different patterns, right? Of like, here's your introduction, and here's like the true technical part and how you teach. And I think you'll get better with experience, and you kind of figure out what works well for an audience and what doesn't.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. I think I asked you a lot of questions, and that gave us a real good insight of DevRel and how to get started and what that role actually does. So
Awesome.
it was really good, yeah. And thanks to everyone in the chat. Like, you probably can't see, but the chat's been really engaging of people talking. So it's really cool when you see that, like, yeah, I like it. When I go to work meetings, like after these talks, when everyone's like, really enthusiastic and talking in the chat, no one will talk at my work, and I'm just like, oh, this is so boring. But
I need a live stream all day of just people talking.
yeah. But it's really cool. But yeah, and thank you so much for waking up early to talk with us today.
Of course, it's been awesome. I'm
Yeah,
so glad. We always need more people in DevRel. So, in all
yeah.
kind of all the sense of the word. So great.
And if any, a lot of people will watch this afterwards as well. If anyone wants to reach out for questions, would they talk to you in the Kubeshop community? They have a Discord channel.
We have a Discord channel. Let me send the link to that. But I also am available on LinkedIn too. So if people
Oh,
want to
yeah,
hang
okay,
out
yeah,
there, that's a great place. That might be actually an easier place. Let me put my link in here.
sure, yeah. If you can send it in the chat, I'll put it up there.
There we go. Yeah, happy to answer any questions, connect with people on there to kind of grow your network out to, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just check that up, and then I'll post that back to the YouTube video as well. But yeah, and yeah, thanks so much again, and looking forward to seeing you at KubeCon if you go this year in Spain. Do you think you'll be
Exciting.
going, or you're
I
not sure
hope
yet?
so. Yeah, we
Yeah,
submitted some technical talks there, but regardless, I'm like, we have to go there. It's like,
yeah,
hopefully everyone will be back in person then, and we get to meet everybody and get everyone together. So
yeah. I just the whole weekend I was actually reviewing the talks for this year's KubeCon, so I just finished all my tasks. So
oh.
it's so hard because you can only generally, say that you'd want to see about 30% of the talks that are assigned to you, and they're so good, and choosing from them is so hard. But yeah.
But that's the thing, and like I feel like KubeCon, there's lots of things happening outside of the event too, right?
Yeah, there's
So
a lot of other what do they call them? Co-located events as well. Yeah,
Pretty cool to see.
yeah.
Be my first one. So.
Right. Nice. All right. Well, yeah, thanks again, and looking forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah, I hope you have a good weekend. Thanks everyone for coming.
You
It's
too.
so nice meeting everybody.
All right. Thanks, Kelly.
Bye.
See you,
See ya.
everybody.